What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's show, where we have a lot to talk about, including the disrespect towards not just Mohamed Salah, but some of the real great African players of the modern era. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to be removing idiots in the chat like we always do, who are just, again, talking absolute nonsense. So bye-bye to you. And we're going to go through and talk about where we're at. We did an interview with David Lynch earlier on today. We've got some contract updates and a few other bits and pieces in there. So yeah, there was no lag, by the way, at the start of that for Sean, who was in there saying W song and lagging. No lagging today, mate. So you're going to have to get in the bin on that one, I'm afraid. Right, my friends, where do we want to start off with? I just did a TikTok for our account around the stuff about the CAF and the shortlist for the African Player of the Year. Now look, it's very easy for us to get on our high horses from a Liverpool perspective and say Salah not being there is a disgrace, but it's more than just Salah. If you look at the players who've been omitted from that list, it is a who's who of top talent. So as well as Mo not being on the shortlist for the African Footballer of the Year, Mohamed Kudus not on the shortlist, Brahim Diaz not on the shortlist, Victor Boniface not on the shortlist, and Nicholas Jackson also not on the shortlist. Shocking. Yeah, shocking. Troy said, literally when you said no lag, it lagged. Not on my end, it didn't. I get a little yellow bar and a warning when it lags on my end, mate. So it might be your end this time. It has been my end in the past. But anyway, look, we move on, my friend. We move on. So yeah, thoughts on that one, I guess, to kick us off tonight. I could ask you a really simple, straightforward question of do you think Salah should be on the shortlist? But I feel like I'm wasting your time because, let's be honest, we should be seeing Salah on that shortlist. We should be seeing Kudus on that shortlist. I don't know if they're trying to make a point here or if they're trying to, I don't know, make a stance on something because it feels weird. It feels weird not seeing him on that list. And, you know, we're always speaking about Mohamed Salah from a Liverpool perspective, and we've often been accused as Liverpool fans of disrespecting or undermining Mo. Well, I think this time they need to look a lot closer to home on this one because to see that shortlist for the African Player of the Year 2024 come out and him, Kudus and some other great footballers not being on it, it's mental. It is mental. Right, so there's another little bit of furore, is that the right word? This time though it's from a Colombian journalist who seems to have a bee in his bonnet around the fact that Lucho didn't play the last game, and I'll read that out to you in a moment, but I don't, these people are delusional. I don't know what else to say. Like, imagine complaining about Diaz not being played for pretty much, 2 games after an international break, and he came on in both of them. So LFC Transfer Room said Colombian journalist at Vélez Football claims that Arne Slot is having a certain favouritism over Cody Gakpo by not playing Luis Diaz. They're making Lucho a substitute. Slot is from the Netherlands and Diaz replacement. Gakpo is from the Netherlands. It would be frivolous to say it's because he's a compatriot, he's preferring him, but I don't rule it out. So, you fucking little clown, you don't want to say it, but you're saying it. So it'd be frivolous of me to say it, but I'm going to say it. You are talking absolute shit. Diaz has been the number one for Arne Slot since he's come in. Diaz has been the first choice left winger, and after an international break where once again he's been over to Colombia, our manager decides to give him a little bit of rest. Just a little bit. And play Cody Gakpo. He goes on to say Gakpo is a great player. He can play in any position, not necessarily as a left winger, and the coach decidedly is putting him there right where Lucho plays. Might that be because I don't know, Cody Gakpo thinks of himself as a winger? Perhaps. Imagine I was saying this about Kelleher. Imagine I was coming on and saying, well, it's a disgrace that Kelleher's not playing. This is favouritism towards Alisson Becker. How dare he not be playing Kelleher? Just grow up. Shut up. Stop moaning. Diaz is getting more than enough game time. Everybody loves Lucho. This is just bullshit that quite frankly needs to be called out because, you know, you can't say in one phrase. It's like saying, I'm not racist, but, and then saying something racist. So you can't come out and say, I'm not saying it's because they're from the same country, Gakpo and Arne Slot, but also I can't rule it out. Stop. Just stop. It's madness. Just shut up. You're embarrassing yourself. Craig, it's a Colombian thing. They can be very tribal in that sense. It's petty is what it is. You know, I don't know many Colombian people, so I don't know if it is a Colombian trait or not. And I'm all for people getting behind their players and supporting their fellow countrymen and women. But to try and make something out of a situation that isn't there. For instance, I don't remember this journalist's name being bandied around saying that it's disgraceful that Lucho's dad was looking for Lucho to get a move to Barcelona. I don't remember him looking out for Liverpool's interest there. And once again, here he's not looking out for Liverpool's interest. So I wish these people would just shut up, for want of a better phrase. Or whoever's interviewing them and giving them this time would have the balls to call them out for the nonsense that they're talking. Because if he was speaking to me and he came out with that, I wouldn't be printing it. I'd be destroying him because it's absolute nonsense. What on earth is going on with Chiesa? So, one thing I can say is the nonsense on Twitter about him going out on loan is just that. Absolute nonsense from people who have been getting away with it for a long time, quite frankly. Look, I spoke with David Lynch about this earlier on. When I seen the article suggesting that Liverpool might loan Chiesa back to Serie A, it set alarm bells ringing in my mind for a couple of reasons. One, it wouldn't fix the problem that Chiesa has. And two, why would we? So let's look at it. Why would a player who is struggling to get up to the intensity of the Premier League be served better by going back on loan to a slower paced league? It doesn't make any sense. So whoever it is that's making this stuff up, please stop, because that's all it is bullshit and waffle. And these are at times people who profess to be Liverpool fans undermining their own club with this shit. There's no way Chiesa's going out on loan to Serie A in January because he's just not fit. That's the problem with him at the minute. And he didn't have a pre-season with Juventus. And Arne Slot has come in and he arrived at Liverpool late, as in Chiesa. And unfortunately, you know, as he stepped up his intensity, it's catching up with him a little bit. It is what it is. To see him being written off as well by people as a crock and another Thiago, I do question at times if some of the people who profess to be Liverpool fans are actually Liverpool fans. So over the past month, as a football club, and as a fan myself, I've sat here doing watch-alongs and actually had to listen to people moaning at us winning games of football. It's boring. The manager's not making the subs at the right time. This, that, the other. We've won 11 out of 12 games. If that isn't enough to make you happy, give up. Because I'll take winning 11 out of 12 games, not being at our best, than playing great football and conceding sloppy goals and ending up with a draw. I think people just need to understand that we're in a good place right now. And Arne Slot's doing a really good job right now. And the camp looks like it has some unity in it. So let's not be allowing this outside noise from Colombian journalists or anybody else to destabilise what has been nothing short of a phenomenal start from Arne Slot as Liverpool coach. Records falling left, right and centre. 11 wins from 12. First Liverpool manager ever to do that. First 6 away wins in a row as Liverpool manager for his first 6 games. First time to do that. It's madness. And the way some people are shitting on about it, you'd swear we'd been hammered. For me, it's all about winning. You know, I've said this many times. I've said it when I've called out the owners. It's about winning. That's what football is. You can talk about the fine details and the flashy stuff as well, but football is ultimately about winning. Winning breeds winning. Winning's a great habit, and Arne's finding ways to get results. And I, as a Liverpool fan, am eternally grateful for that. Why we recruited Chiesa? He's an attacker. Why not use him? He's just not fit yet, mate. That's the only problem with it. And again, it's to be expected. So he came in, as we know, he'd no pre-season with Juventus whatsoever. Didn't get any minutes, was overlooked, came into Liverpool, and then he's having a bit of a reaction as he steps up the intensity of playing in the English league and playing at the pace that we play at the intensity that we play at, defending from the front like we like to do. And it's going to take him a few months. You know, if we're going to judge him, let's judge him at the end of the campaign when we've seen him at his full fitness. But right now, yeah, it's frustrating because we're all excited. You seen how excited Federico was to join the club. We had a great little start with him as well. It's just unfortunate at the minute. You know, we're all disappointed not to be seeing him, but Sometimes it is about short-term pain for long-term gain. And as Arne Slot said, he signed a long-term contract. So, let's not be judging him here now in the first couple of months. Craig, I have a question for you. Oh, actually, give me 2 seconds, Theo, because I will come back to your question. I've just got to defend myself for a minute, if I may. So I received an email yesterday from a lady who I've had correspondence with before about the channel and about Liverpool, and always been quite polite. Both ways, I should say. So last night I got an email, or was it this morning? I got an email to say, Craig, I posted a comment about Saudi and the potential takeover, and about their human rights abuses and a few other bits and pieces. And she said to me, why did you delete it? I'm really disappointed. You profess to be against state ownership and you deleted my comment. So I thought about this and I thought, I don't remember deleting it, but maybe a moderator deleted it. So I said to her, I'm not sure, let me look into it. Maybe a moderator deleted it. So we watched back through the entire stream. Mark checked it, I checked it, Connor checked it. We checked the withheld comments. Comment never showed up. So if you're going to try and be a shithouse and waste my fucking time, at least hold me responsible for something I actually did. Because I think if anybody watched the stream yesterday and we spoke about the Saudi Arabia part of it, or maybe the day before, sorry, I was nothing but balanced and gave everybody the opportunity to get their point across and didn't delete anything. Because I understood that it's an emotive subject and I'm trying to get consensus on it. So again, people trying to say, my morals are important to me. So you question them, you best bring your fucking A game, because I'm going to make sure that what you're accusing me of is right. And that was underhanded bullshit and I deserve better. So don't waste my damn time if you're just trying to stir the pot. If you want to send us an email, I'm happy to interact with everyone. But don't waste my fucking time with lies. Saeed says, status says all for Salah, but still some morons say he's not capable. First when he came and everybody said he's a one season wonder, proved them wrong, and now they say Mane was better. There have definitely been people outside of our fan base who've been taken a while to give Mo the respect he deserves. But I'm shocked at the African Cup or the African Footballer of the Year shortlist. I'll go through the shortlist in a minute, but I'm shocked not to see him and a few other really good players on there. People are just ungrateful, be happy. Exactly. We're winning. So I agree with you, Ifty, and thank you. Yeah, winning is winning. Like, I'll happily have conversations about what we can do better when we're winning. But, if we were losing, I'd understand people being a bit upset. Like, people calling Arne Slot's style of football boring. I tell you what, not conceding goals isn't boring to me. Watching that defensive line being a thing of beauty isn't boring to me. Troy, I did say I'd get back and answer your comment. Sorry, mate. I went on a little tangent there. Or was it Theo? 1 second. Okay, it was Theo. Let me just get back. I did say I'd answer this for you. Craig, I have a question for you. How did you find that Mo Salah is more level of disrespected, and what happened with him? Is it a problem or slot? No, it's around him not being included in the African Footballer of the Year for 2024, mate. So the shortlist for it came out today. I'll read you out the shortlist. So the shortlist is Amin Ghouri, Edmund Tapsoba, Simon Adingra, Chancel Mbemba, Seru Garassi, Akif Hakimi, excuse my pronunciation, Sufan Rami, Ademola Lookman, William Trust Akong, and Rowan Williams. So on that list, there are some really, 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 really big exclusions. For instance, Mo Salah's not on the list. Mo Kudus not on the list. Brahim Diaz not on the list. Omar Marmoush not on the list. Victor Boniface not on the list. Nicholas Jackson not on the list. Now, I'm sorry, but having one of those players off the list is bad enough. But having every single one of them not on the list, something stinks with that. Something stinks that somebody's trying to prove a point or something, because you're trying to tell me that Mo Salah, Kudus, Brahim Diaz, Victor Boniface, Nicholas Jackson aren't on that list. Not one of those lads is deserving of being shortlisted for the African Footballer of the Year. Come on now. If that was a European list and they were left off, I think that the African Federation would not be very happy about it, and rightly so. So it is a bit weird not to see them on that list. I don't know if there's shenanigans going on or whatever, but it's not great, is it? New players, we got into the first team when they're ready and up to spec. Until then, they played the speed of the team under Shanks and other managers. Yes, exactly, Dave. We've seen, even under Kloppo, Robertson took a long time before Klopp put him in. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain took a long time before Kloppo put him in. And Chiesa, we're just going to have to be patient with, because he might take a little bit longer to get up to speed. Judge him over the course of his time at the club, not over the course of a couple of months when he's coming in off the back of very little football. Right, there's an interesting thing that was put into our Discord group. I'm not sure who put it in, so I will give credit if somebody remembers who it was. It might have been Andy, actually. So it says, if all prices had gone up at the same rate as football tickets since 1990, how much would things cost? So as an example, if we were to look at football inflation and put it to the price of a pint of beer would average £11.80. A loaf of bread would average £4.88, and a litre of petrol would average £3.90. So Anfield's cheapest ticket in 1990 was £4, and the Bank of England's inflation calculator says that would now be £9.59 in 2024. The cheapest ticket on the Kop is now £39. So once again, we can see there that football has absolutely gone leaps ahead of inflation. And the price of football these days is just becoming more and more of a barrier for people to attend games. And even look at 39 quid, that's still a really cheap ticket in modern football to get onto the Kop with. So, you know, if they were looking at some of the London teams as an example and the price of their tickets, I'm sure it would be even greater. But yeah, it just shows inflation from football has certainly surpassed normal inflation, even though the likes of our everyday essentials have gone up. Chris Rigg. You know a name, a youngster from Sunderland who Liverpool have been keeping tabs on for quite a while. He scored another really good goal this week, another good solo goal. He's definitely a player that looks like he's going to move on to really, really big things. So keep an eye on him. He's a player Liverpool have looked at. Probably a few years away from breaking in towards our first team, but certainly a youngster there at Sunderland who anybody I've spoken to about Chris Rigg, whether it's Jack who's gone and watched them play, whether it's Chris who's gone and watched them play, or David Lynch or anybody, they're all saying the same. An unbelievable talent who looks like he's destined for big things. Is Harvey Elliott still injured? He is, mate, yeah. My name Cram. He's out until probably the end of this month, or certainly in and around the end of this month seems to be the perceived wisdom on Harvey Elliott. LFC 1892 said, who would be your ideal replacement for Trent if he leaves the club? I haven't thought about it. You know, I could throw out Frimpong, like the lazy answer. But the truth is, I'm going like a bit of an ostrich and burying my head in the sand on this one, because I'm not letting myself believe Trent won't sign a new deal. I know I'm setting myself up for potential pain, but as of right now, I still can't be convinced he won't stay. Every fibre of me wants to believe he's going to stay, so I'm not looking at other right backs, to be honest with you, mate. You know, we've got Bradley coming through as well, great young player. Gomez can fill in on either side. So right now, you know, I'm that proverbial ostrich with my head in the sand. Can you read that list again? No. No, not because I don't want to read it, but because my pronunciations are shocking. I'm happy to read through the ones not on the list for you, if that makes it any better. But no, I don't want to go through the list again, because I butcher so many pronunciations and I feel terrible doing it. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Here's a bit of an interesting one. I don't know if there's something to it or nothing to it, but Orkan Koku's father, Halis Koku, has name-dropped Liverpool in a bit of a conversation. So he said the most important thing right now is that Orkan focuses on playing well for Benfica, but of course players and coaches do not stay in one place. The club also knows this. Why not Liverpool? Yes, it's possible. He is a player that, you know, has a hefty price tag at Benfica. I think his buyout clause is something like £120 million. But his name keeps coming up in conversations as a midfielder being linked to Liverpool. Now, when I put this to David Lynch, I think it might have been a couple of weeks ago, he didn't think there was much to it, to be fair, and he's not a name that he's heard brought up in conversation. But other than Zubamendi, I think he's probably the most written about option as a midfielder for Arne Slot, although he did just move to Benfica fairly recently. Pasky said, I've zero faith in any transfer. We need financial backing. FSG are never willing to spend the most. Frustrating thing is we're 2 players away from a solid bench and squad. Mate, I agree with that. You know my take on the owners. You know, I try to be fair on this as much as I can, but ultimately when it comes down to it, I think they're cheap. So I don't disagree with you, mate. We need owners that are going to step up and really try to make sure Liverpool are doing everything that we can do in the transfer market, not to continuously just second guess or monitor or look at. We need action, and we need the right players brought in, and we need the owners to be ballsy in the market. Brad said, Craig, why is everybody overreacting to Chiesa missing? Like Slot said, it's not an injury, he didn't have a pre-season. I think it's just a lot of people seem to like to moan this year. And I'm not just speaking about Liverpool fans. In general, the world just seems to be an angry place at the minute, where a lot of people try to find anything to piss and moan about. And some people are just unrealistic in their expectation. You know, you sign a player for €12 million, about 10 million quid, who obviously has had an injury track record and has had no football for quite a while, and expect him to come in and be a 150 million quid player. It's just unrealistic. So I don't know why some people are that way, but it just does feel like this season there's just a bit of a slimy, nasty undercurrent that I don't like. I hope Fenerbahce have scored, have they, in the game against the Manx? 1-1. I'd seen Christian Eriksen open the scoreroom with a fairly well taken goal, to be fair to him. But yeah, there you go, 1-1. And by the way, if you have been watching that, how noisy are the Turkish fans? And I mean that in a good complimentary way. I mean, that Fenerbahce stadium was loud. So yeah, hopefully they can get beaten, United, because they were outside the top 24, which is hilarious in itself. So if they were to lose this one, I mean, I don't know how Ten Hag would be. I was going to say I don't know how Ten Hag could continue to come up with his nonsense, but I do have a quote from Ten Hag that Connor sent me that kind of makes me laugh. So the quote is, Jose Mourinho and I won a lot of trophies in the last years, but you have to prove yourself every year, and if you don't, you have criticism. We know that. Did this bro just fucking... Did he just compare himself to Mourinho? Did he? Oh, me and Jose have won. Yeah, okay, if we're looking at it that way, then Eric, me and Carlo Ancelotti have a lot of European Cups between us, don't we, mate? The levels of delusion from Ten Lasso just never cease to amaze me. Like, just when you think he's reached peak bullshit, he pulls out another whopper. Jose Mourinho and I won a lot of trophies in the last years, but you have to prove yourself every year, and if you don't, you have criticism. You have criticism, Eric, because you're not very good at your job. You have criticism because we wiped the floor with you on many occasions. Spurs wiped the floor with you. City wiped the floor with you. And you're in United's worst start in Premier League history and struggling to stay in the top 24 of the Europa League. He is a level of delusional that I've not yet seen from a Premier League manager. Like, he is absolutely on his own. He is a level above delusional. He is super delusional. It's mental. It is just, it baffles me. It's like he doesn't understand the results that United have had or something. Like, he's just mad. I don't know what to say. LFC 8092 said, do you honestly believe VVD stays? People may disagree with me, but it will be the most important contract extension. 100% believe he stays. Yeah. if I was to give you a percentage on it, I'd be 95% optimistic that Virgil stays. And do you know what? To be honest with you, when I speak to people about Mo or Trent, I've had mixed conversations on it. But everybody I've spoken to around Virgil seems very confident that he will extend at Liverpool, which is the news that we want. And even, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the video with David earlier on, but I brought up the subject that I can't remember I think it was I can't remember which gent it was from our FC Transfer Room that put out a piece that said, sources have indicated that Virgil is going to be offered a 1-year contract with a 1-year option on it. And I thought to myself that didn't make sense. So I brought it up to David and asked him, have you heard anything about this idea that Virgil would be given a 1+1 option? Basically meaning 1 year guaranteed and 1 year with an option. It just doesn't make sense because it would be just kicking the can down the road. And sometimes I'm on a different thought process to David, particularly around subjects around the owners, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. But on this one, even he was like, doesn't make any sense. You would imagine 2 years would be the number there minimum for Virgil, maybe with an option of a third. And he actually went a bit further to say that he'd be very surprised if it wasn't at least 2 years for Virgil. So I don't know if he's maybe hinting at a possible third year there, but yeah, 2 years would have to be the minimum for Virgil. I mean, there's no sign that he's not going to be still a top player over the next 2 seasons. So I would say 2 years straight away. Every Man United fan wished they had Slot as a manager. Look, it's getting tiring United fans being wrong about everything. It's getting tiring listening to Neville pretending United are going to have a good season and their midfield is great. It's getting tiring listening to them saying that we'll understand, Slot won't make it. It's just getting tiring. I know, just because their club have made shitty decision after shitty decision and hired one clown after another, don't be trying to put us in that. I'll say what I want about my own owners, but Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, and the recruitment team, those who look to replace Jurgen, have done a cracking job. I'm not saying that Arne Slot is going to achieve what Jurgen did, but you can't but be impressed at this transitional period so far to have won 11 out of 12. And even saying this, probably a lot of us feel and not hitting top stride yet. So, yeah. I'm getting a little bit tired of their delusion at times, unfortunately. And I say that out of respect for United fans, but if there's anybody still behind this manager of theirs, I don't know what to say to them. Did you hear what Tim Sherwood had to say? No, I didn't, but you've finished up there with he's a first-class spoofer. He is, mate. I don't know what he said, but I'm sure I'm going to disagree with it, whatever it was that he said, because I usually disagree with what Tim Sherwood has to say. Just joined. What is Salah shooting his mouth again? Did anybody... I don't know how you managed to get that from the title, by the way, or Persian Pride. I don't know how you managed to get Salah shooting his mouth again. That's a bit of a weird take, mate, to be honest with you. I don't know how you got that from the title. When it says Salah disrespect hits new levels or whatever it does. The title is based around the fact he has been excluded, along with some other top players, from the African Player of the Year 2024. That's what we're talking about, the disrespect. Salah said and done nothing, mate. It's about the fact that Mo Salah, Mo Kudus, Brahim Diaz, Victor Boniface, Nicholas Jackson, and I think Omar Marmoush have all been excluded from the African Footballer of the Year 2024. Didn't make the shortlist. So, yeah, whoever came up with that is ridiculous. LFC Robbo, I didn't get this up a minute ago, mate, so I'm going to bring it up now. Said, Craig, is it a failure if Trent leaves on a free? Yes. Yes. 100% yes. I couldn't say anything else, mate, and I don't know anybody who would say differently. If the club lose Trent on a free, 100% it's a massive mistake. And it's a massive error of judgment. He's convinced Trent's on his way out. Thinks Madrid have basically signed him and offered him a 14-15 million quid a year deal. Do you know what they should do? They should get a special little island and put Gabriel Bonlahor, most of the TalkSport clowns, Tim Sherwood, Paul Merson, and any other of these fucking morons, and stick them on this island where they can just talk to each other and share their delusional opinions that aren't in all based in reality with each other. Because none of us, and I mean sincerely, Sky, if you're watching, nobody gives a fuck what Tim Sherwood has to say. Nobody. I've nothing else to add. That's pretty much it. So yeah, no, I don't care. But it just shows what they're resorting to, you know? That's what they're resorting to now. They're all becoming shit YouTubers. That's it. That's what a lot of mainstream content has become. They're going head to head with YouTubers and coming out badly on the other side of it because their takes are just lazy. Like Keane, like dying on this hill that Trent can't defend. I even had Lee Gunner telling me in a video today that Trent has defended well this season. And he openly admits to me that he wouldn't have been a fan of Trent's defending in the past. But one of the first things he said to me, unprompted, on our video today, was Trent's defending really well this season. And that's why I appreciate Lee Gunner. Because he speaks his mind, but he gives the credit where it's due. So for Roy Keane to still be banging on about Trent's defending, it's embarrassing. And it's more embarrassing that none of the other pundits have the spine to call him out on it. You're there to do a job as a paid professional, and all you're doing is giving lazy clickbait bullshit takes. Just go sit with Rory Jennings and co then if that's the way you want to go, because it's ridiculous. Lorcan said, a bit off topic, but do you think Man City will be found guilty? I hope so, because I believe that they're guilty from what I've seen over the 5, 6, 7 years. But I don't know if I have confidence in the system to stand up to the challenge that's coming their way, both on and off the... I should say in and out of court is probably a fair way of saying it. I think I've always tried to answer this by saying, regardless of what the outcome is, nobody's ever going to convince me that they haven't cheated. So, you know, they can be found not guilty on 115 of those charges, and I'll still sit here and be convinced that they've cheated because I believe that they've cheated. Alex said, shocking these ex-players on TalkSport and Sky. It really is. Like, I don't know. It is embarrassing. It's shocking. And some of the takes are just silly. Like, they had Harry Redknapp on Sky Sports when Tuchel was appointed, talking about the fact that, well, should just put an English coach in there because, you know, you only get half an hour with the lads. And international management, you don't need to be working on tactics or anything like that. You just need to go into the dressing room, give them the old Woe Britannia, give them the old speech about playing for the shirt and blood and thunder and all this shit, and that's enough. That's all you need to do. Go win the World Cup, just tell them. Go out there and play with pride, lads. Give it your best go. That's it. There's no tactics involved, Harry. Football definitely hasn't moved on, mate. It's still definitely just that, Harry. That's what it is, mate. Definitely. But, you know, Sky just keep paying out that money. Our subscriptions keep going up, and that's the crap that we have to listen to. Adding to my question, do you think it will affect their performance? Yes, I think so, Lorcan, because I don't know how anybody can think it won't impact them. You know, they'll try to utilise it from the perspective of making a siege camp, a siege mentality. You know, they'll try to say everyone's against us. We have to continue to fight a good fight. We have to go out there and show we are Man City, yada, yada, yada. Which, look, anybody would do in that situation. But I do think eventually, yes, it will. It has to be weighing on players' minds. If you're looking at extending a contract or joining Manchester City, or you're a commercial partner of Manchester City's, you're going to have to look at this and think, well, what if ... So, yeah, I think it will. It will impact them. Pasky said, I haven't watched Sky Sports since Chris Kamara left. I heard it's gone dreadful though. It's so bad. Like, it is so bad. Like, there are some good bits on it. And I think on Monday Night Football, as I've said before, when Neville isn't speaking about Liverpool or Arsenal, I think he's quite good to listen to a lot of the time. And I enjoy him and Carrot and the banter, because it's real proper banter at times. But some of the takes are it's just baiting. It's all it is. You know, Neville on there talking about our midfield and United finishing above us. I don't believe when he puts his little Neville head down on his little Neville pillow in his little Neville pyjamas when he's dreaming about Sir Alex and whatever else he does, that he believes what he's saying. I don't believe it. I don't. Because he knows too much about football to believe that crap. Craig, did you see James Pearce article that Trent has been playing with a muscle injury since he came from the international break? I didn't read James Pearce's, but we did see from Arne Slot, and I think David Lynch might have mentioned it as well, that yeah, you're right, he was nursing something since he came back from camp with England, so wasn't able to train fully in the lead up to the last couple of games. So yeah, that's okay. You know, fair play to Trent for being able to continue to play through the pain barrier and whatnot. So yeah, look, I just want that contract tied up, same as everybody else. I don't want this distraction looming over us for the rest of the season. I'd rather we get Trent, Virgil and Mo boxed off, or at least know what's happening, and then we can look ahead. Right, I have a lot to get through tonight, so bear with me. On Ricardo Calafiori's injury, by the way, it's believed that it's not too serious, but he will be out for a few weeks, so it doesn't look like Calafiori will be playing for Arsenal this weekend against Liverpool. Obviously no Saliba, no Odegaard. Saka is back training for them. I think Timber might be close as well. So, you know, they do have some injury concerns, but maybe not worst case scenario there for Arsenal at the minute. Who was this one? Yeah, so Calcio Mercado, who are out of Italy, said Liverpool could allow Federico Chiesa to depart on loan in January if he continues to struggle with injuries at Anfield, with AC Milan, Inter and Roma all touted as possible destinations. Yeah, cool story, but not based in reality. He's not going to be going out on loan in January, let alone to a league that is part of the problem, because that league's intensity is obviously less than ours, and he's struggling to get up to the intensity of English football, so it would make no sense to send him out on loan to Italy. So that's Tim Sherwood, who said Trent's off. Gabriel Agbonlahor claimed to have that fantastic bit of only exists in Agbonlahor's head about Mohamed Salah agreeing a deal to go to Saudi that still none of the rest of the world seems to know about. But Gabriel Agbonlahor, you know, try to claim that exclusive that the rest of the world have just pissed themselves laughing at. But I don't know how anyone takes these lads seriously. And I don't know how any football fan doesn't see through a lot of what TalkSport does, which is bait people. We know emotion sells. We know anger drives clicks. Come on, put 2 and 2 together. That's all it's there for. You can't tell me that you listen to TalkSport and aren't angry 90% of the time listening to it. Not a fan, personally. I'm glad I don't have to listen to it on the radio here in Ireland, because it's shocking. Do you reckon we get somebody in January? I'm on the fence. I think we're open to it. Who was that asked that? Shannon. I think we're open to it. I just don't know, again, if we're going to be able to get that right guy, whoever it is, whether it's in midfield or in defence. But again, you know, I can say with absolute conviction, if Zubamendi turned around and said, I made a mistake, I think we sign him in January. But I've not seen any indication that he's going in that direction. So yeah, again, possible, but I think we'll need to wait and see what's available in the market. Lorcan said, I think Gary Neville's a bit jealous about Trent. No, to be fair to Gary Neville on Trent, he has usually spoken in positive terms. So you've never heard me calling out Neville about Trent, because he's always been fair with Trent, if I'm being honest with Gary Neville on that one. It's Roy Keane who I have my bee in my bonnet with about Trent and former United players, because Roy Keane just living in the past with that opinion. Would you rather Ireland win a World Cup or Liverpool win the Premier League, Champions League? Easy. Ireland win a World Cup, thank you very much. Look at the probability of that statement. Do I think in my lifetime Liverpool will win a Premier League and a Champions League? Yes. Have done and will again. Do I think Ireland will win a World Cup? Very, very unlikely. So yeah, I will take one for the country and say Ireland, if that's the case. Yeah, very much. Zubamendi must be thinking, what have I done? They have not had a good start. They won in the Europa League today, by the way, 2-1 Sociedad, but yeah, they're not doing great in La Liga this season so far. Lynn said, Roy was so salty about Trent being subbed off. He was stupid as he didn't even know what Slot had been doing and just thinks it was because Trent was playing badly. I, as a Liverpool fan, look at the substitution and think Trent was coming back from a knock and we've a massive game coming up at the weekend. If Roy doesn't think that's why he was being taken off, then I don't know what to say to him. Now, I don't think Trent did have a particularly great game in possession against Leipzig, but defensively I thought the whole back line had a good game. Trent, I think, could have done a few things differently, but again, knowing that he's been carrying a bit of a niggle, I've no problem with the manager taking him off. I think it was a sensible thing to do. So, Ifty said, somebody I picked up who works in, I think you meant to say in the Gulf, told me City have spent over 60 million through offshore accounts to delay and will get away with it. Well, I've no doubt that they have tried to delay and slow play this at any opportunity because, well, we've seen that. In fact, some of the charges are for them not being forthcoming with the information. But I also would think that figure you've mentioned there is probably more to do with legal fees. I think the Premier League so far have spent something like 50 million on legal fees this year, through all of the court cases and bits and pieces they've had to deal with. So, do I believe that there's going to be some international prodding around this? Yeah, I do. I'm not naive enough to think that there hasn't been some type of geopolitical leaning or interference in this. I'm not naive enough to sit here and think that I don't think that's taken place. I don't think anybody will ever admit it, but I'd be baffled if it hasn't. Right. So, another interesting bit of news here coming out of Spain is that Liverpool had scouts watching Loic Balde's performance against Barcelona last weekend, and despite the fact that Sevilla had their backsides handed to them, this piece here says that he was the best player for Sevilla, and Liverpool have him very high on their list of possible successors to Virgil van Dijk ahead of next summer. Well, the only part of that I would question is a successor to Van Dijk next summer, because that's not what we're going to be looking for, in my opinion, in the centre-back market. We're going to be looking for somebody to come in and be behind Kanade and Kwanzaa, most likely. So a fourth choice centre-back. So, I'm not saying we haven't looked at Loic Bade, but I really don't believe that Liverpool are lining up him as a Van Dijk replacement, because I don't think we're looking for a Van Dijk replacement. That's why clubs need to stand together against state-run clubs. I still can't believe that the Premier League allowed that horse to bolt, if you want, for a better phrase. I don't like, my opinion on state ownership of football clubs. I don't like them. I don't mind any individual or any private asset management company, or I don't mind any private individuals in any way, shape or form from whatever part of the world owning football clubs, as long as they have the same jeopardy as any other business owner or any other club owner. Grand. I just don't like the idea of any country, be that Saudi Arabia, Ireland, America, anyone owning a football club. I think it's just unfair. I think there's no jeopardy involved in it. What's all this about Koku? I'm a Turk, so very intrigued. So he's kind of loosely been linked to Liverpool quite a bit, even since he moved over to Benfica. But I think it's comments from his father, mate, that have kind of piqued the interest today. So there's some quotes attributed to his dad that say the most important thing right now is that Orkun focuses on playing well for Benfica. But of course, players and coaches do not stay in one place. The club also knows this. Why not Liverpool? Yes, this is possible. I think he went on to speak about the fact that obviously they respect Arne Slot, and there's a good channel of communication there. So look, I don't know if there's anything to it or not, but I do know that he's a player who plays in a position we need strengthening in, and somebody who obviously has worked with Arne previously. So, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Are we still banned from Chelsea? I don't know what that means. Oh, you mean the youth from Cobham. And do you know what? I don't know, Lorcan. I think James Pearce wrote something on it, and I think there was another couple of journalists wrote something on it to say that, yeah, they're not letting Liverpool scouts into Cobham because they're really annoyed over the Rio Nimoja situation. I think they should look inwardly, to be honest, Chelsea, and ask themselves, are they really providing that pathway through for these young talents that they're bringing in? Maybe that's more of a problem. TAA, my idole, said Gittins is a very good replacement for Salah. He's certainly a name that's been mentioned. I think it was Bild put out a piece the other day that said that Borussia Dortmund have told any interested parties that €100 million is the number for Jamie Gittins to Liverpool or anybody else. They did link him as a Salah replacement, but at this point, I don't know. I think Salah, of all the 3 contract renewals, is the least likely to get done, but I don't know where we are with it at this moment. So I've got some quotes from Trent here, actually. So Trent on Liverpool not being grouped in the same level as Manchester City and Arsenal at the start of the season. This is what Trent had to say. It doesn't bother me. We had to try and figure out how good we were as a team in the new system, and if the system is going to work, and obviously it has. We have a lot of world-class players, but a new manager and a new system. So, of course, on the outside looking in, you're thinking, can they go and challenge the Cities and Arsenal? But for us, we were training, we felt good, and we've got off to a good start. As soon as we first came in, the first chats with the manager, we want to win things. Good. I like those comments from Trent. I think it's balanced. I think it's fair. I think it's how most of us probably felt. We were a little bit uncertain about what to expect. Do you know what? I can understand pundits not putting us up there with Arsenal and Man City at the start of the season in their predictions. I can totally get it. Because if it was another club, I'd be expecting a bit of a drop-off from a new coach as well. But I think after 3, 4, 5 games, people are saying we've played nobody. I don't know about you guys and girls that are watching, but to me, no matter how shit Manchester United are, a 3-0 win at Old Trafford is a very good result. Last season, we didn't get anything against United. We didn't win a single game. I think we drew, got knocked out, and got beaten. So, FA Cup, draw, extra time out. League, beaten, draw. So, apparently that slipped everybody's mind that we went to Old Trafford. Then it was, Chelsea is the first big test. So then we go and beat Chelsea. And now it's, Arsenal's the first real big test. So, I get it. But I think at this point, people should be starting to think, all right, Liverpool deserve a bit more respect now because, we might not win the league, but I think we're definitely in that conversation along with Arsenal and Manchester City based off what we've seen so far. Craig Houlden is 8 out of 10. I don't really think we need him. So I don't think he's likely, if I was to put it that way. When I spoke with David Lynch a few weeks ago about him, he understood the link because obviously they'd worked together, but didn't think it was a likely candidate for us. But then again, nobody really has a name yet outside of Martin Zubimendi for that role, so I'm not sure. Was I annoyed when Nunez nicked Salah's goal? No, not at all. Got to make sure the ball goes in. So, from my angle, I didn't know whether that Salah header was going to just nestle in off the inside of the post whether it was going to hit the post or whether it was going to glance the post and go wide. So, no, I thought Darwin... Now, if he had been offside, I would have been pissed off about it. But no, make sure the ball goes into the net. That's the main job. He's a striker and he has to make sure it goes in. For all he knew, there could have been the defender standing behind him that was going to clear it. So, no, I will more than happily say well done, Darwin, on that one. And, of course, well done, Mo, as well. Can we go back to this conversation, by the way, around Luis Diaz and this Colombian journalist? Because I want to ask you guys, do you think he has a point? So let me just get a poll ready for you. 1 second. Right, so I'm going to read through the quote again, and then I'm going to ask you, do you think that Salah has been unfair to Lucho? So I'll put the poll up, and then I'll read you out the quote. 1 second. Right, so the quote came in, and it was posted from LFC Transfer Room. They said, Colombian journalist at Vélez Football claims Arne Slot is having a certain favouritism over Gakpo by not playing Luis Diaz. They're making Lucho a substitute. Slot is from the Netherlands and Diaz's replacement Gakpo is from the Netherlands. It would be frivolous to say that it's because he's a compatriot that he's preferring him, but I don't rule it out. So again, I'm going to say you've admitted it will be frivolous and then say you don't rule it out. So you're just too much of a pussy to say that that's what you think. So we know he's a coward, this guy, who hasn't got the courage of his convictions to stand behind what he really wants to say. Next up, Gakpo's a great player. He can play in any position. So you've given the lad a little kick in the bollocks. Then you've thrown a few breadcrumbs there to just sound a little less salty. He can play not necessarily as a left winger. And the coach decidedly is putting him there right where Lucho plays. I hope that this is temporary and this is not just to benefit a compatriot no matter how good he may be. Has he not been watching us this season? Because most of us would say he's preferred Diaz on the left-hand side and that Gakpo has had to earn an opportunity. And I would still say at this second that Lucho is the starting left winger. The fact that Gakpo's played and started the last couple of games is more to do with the international break, the load on Lucho, and Gakpo also being a good player. And maybe the manager looked at the opposition and felt that the attributes that Cody Gakpo has suit those opposition teams better. Who knows? But this is just lazy. And it's also not founded in any type of reality. Arne Slot has not been at all in favour of Gakpo or against Lucho. I think it's just shit stirring for the sake of it. And I don't like the fact that he was a coward about it. If you want to say something, mate, back it up, put your balls on the table and say what you've got to say. But say, I'm not saying this, but also I kind of am saying this. It's not great. So what do you guys think? And that's what the poll is about. Do you think Slot has been unfair to Diaz? Yes or no? Until the last couple of matches, it was all Diaz and well deserved, said Tony. Absolutely, mate. Diaz has been in great form. But we've always said in this conversation that we're spoiled on that left side. Like, we really do have an abundance of riches there. To know that we've got Cody, to know that we've got Lucho. It's great. And we want these guys to raise their levels, to raise each other up, to increase that competition, to benefit the group as a whole. And we also need to be able to rotate and rest one or the other. This whole narrative is just silliness. And I'm kind of getting fed up of it. I'm getting fed up of all these outside voices trying to influence and undermine our football club. You know, everything's great until a player from a particular country who a journalist suddenly decides is being disrespected. Then all of a sudden the light gets shown on Liverpool like we're being a disrespectful club. Had it with Mane, have it with Lucho. We've had it previously before as well with Salah and others. It gets tiring. Can't it just be that maybe the manager feels like the attributes of one player suits a different game over another? You know, he's admitted himself that they're both good footballers. That Cody Gakpo's a top footballer as well. It's just so silly. Forever Football, if you can see your comment, I can see your comment. So your comment clearly is coming through. What you meant to say is, I'm looking for attention, give me some attention. That's what you really want to say. And I will give you that attention by removing you from the chat, because it's childish, it's petty, and it's unnecessary. We don't pander down to strops on here, mate. Unless they're my strops, of course, in which case it is what it is. What's this? I don't like to see lads going in and a chat with each other either, falling out, so please try and keep that to a minimum. Alex said, I think Slot is saving Diaz for Sunday to score the winner. I'd be really surprised if Lucho doesn't start at the weekend. I think he's nailed on to start. I think he's deservedly there to start as well. It is frivolous, mate, but the journalist has an agenda to back Colombia. So, I get that. I get that. And I've no problem with somebody backing a compatriot. But it's not, like, realistic, is it? Like, Lucho has been our starting left-back for most of the... Or certain left-winger for most of the season. And deservedly so, because he's been great. But I don't understand it. You know, it's 2 games and already they're moaning. And he's played, I think, off the bench in both of those games as well. What are your thoughts on what other meanings? They don't really mean that, Andy, to be honest, mate. I've got a couple of small ones that mean something. Like, I've got the date I got married, and I've got the time of day that my 2 kids were born on both my wrists. But outside of that, mate, there's not really much meaning to them, in all honesty. I've got one on my leg that's based around autism and Liverpool Football Club, but other than that, yeah, there's not really much meaning to them. I wish there was, though. I probably should have put a bit of more thought into them, to be honest with you. Like, my wife has a sleeve, and her sleeve is it's all kind of cartoon characters and stuff from when we were growing up, and it makes more sense than mine. But yeah, it's just the honest answer is, I said to my tattoo guy, work away, whatever you fancy, whatever you think you're best at, work away, and I just let him go. That's the real answer. I trust them, so. Bobby said, I reckon Slot is saving them for certain games. Yeah, and it's great that we have 2 good options on the left, isn't it? You know, many years gone by, we'd be complaining about a lack of options. But we really do have 2 really, really high quality left-sided attackers who, and to be fair to both Lucho and to Cody, they can both play in multiple positions. Cody can play through the centre, he can play left, Lucho can play left, and as we seen when he came on last night from Mo, he can play on the right as well. So yeah, it's just happy days that we have these great options. Pro said, I don't think Slot has been unfair to any player. He's just managing the players' minutes. I think so. Like, he's taken Salah off. He's taken Trent off. He hasn't taken off Virgil, really, to be fair, which I think Virgil could probably do with a breather, but trying to figure out when you give him that breather, I guess, is difficult. Maybe the League Cup. So yeah, I think he's been clinically assessing his squad. And I think he's been more than fair in the way that he's gone about making his substitutions and his team selections. You know, we're never always going to agree with the manager on a team selection or a formation or a style against a certain team. But again, 11 win from 12. You know, keep going, Arna. Keep getting these wins. David said, Craig, bro, remember the question I asked you at your show in August about trying Gravenberch at the number 6 role? You know what? I do. And if I'm remembering my answer, David, I poo-pooed it a little bit. Or even maybe more so. I think if I remember it correctly, David, I said to you something like, he could be a number 6, but I would rather he wasn't, or something along those lines. How wrong was I? You know, to see his evolution in the number 6 role, it's been truly beautiful to see. I was, speaking with David Lynch earlier on today, mate. I said, to see him coming back and getting that defensive block, sliding defensive block that he did yesterday over in Germany, and celebrate it like he'd scored almost. It was a joy to watch, and he is just so smooth as a footballer. So yeah, I remember it, David, I do, and I remember being wrong about it. So yes, I'm never afraid to put my hands up, David, when I'm wrong, mate. So I'll tell you what, if you're coming to the next show next month, ask me the same question, I'll give you a different answer. James said, Diaz started the first 3-4 games of the season and no one bats an eye about Gakpo. Exactly. It's just a case of the manager has two great options, and whichever one of them starts on any given week, I'd like to think that most Liverpool fans will go, yeah, I can understand that, because we trust both of them. You know, trust both of the lads on the left side. Red card in the Spurs game. Interesting. Do you think Bradley should generally get more minutes? I think Arne Slot's been trying, Aaron, to give him more minutes this season. I did ask David, by the way, do we know what's up with Conor Bradley and why he's out? And he doesn't really know. Like, it's a bit of a mystery at the moment what's keeping Conor Bradley out. Like, we haven't been able to get a confirmed diagnosis, or prognosis, I should say, of what's keeping him out. But I think... So this is just based off my own assessment. I got the feeling that he was making sure that Conor Bradley was getting enough minutes that if the worst came to the worst and we lost Trent, that Bradley was going to be ready, or as ready as can possibly be, to make that step up. That was my thought process on it. But yeah, I think he will get minutes, you know, because Trent can't play every minute of every game, so the opportunities will be there for Conor Bradley. But it's unfortunate to see him be unavailable at the minute, because, you know, like Harvey Elliott, I feel like this is a time of the season where there's so many games that these young lads would have been able to get some minutes. Didn't Slot say Chiesa isn't injured, he's just not fit enough? Absolutely spot on, Morton. What he said was the intensity has caused a few little bits of setbacks with regards to, I guess, muscle strains, fatigue and stuff like that, because he had no pre-season with Juventus either. So yeah, it isn't an injury as such, it's more a case of fitness and recovery and stuff like that, just not being where it needs to be. Is Kwanzaa unfairly treated by Slot? I think it's more a case of Ibrahima Konate has just been absolutely sensational since he was brought on at halftime in the first game of the season. And I do feel that it's been really unlucky for Jarell Kwanzaa, because if it wasn't for quite how good Konate and Virgil have looked together, I feel he probably would have gotten more chances so far this season. But you got to give credit to Ibu, because remember the first international break, I don't think he got minutes with France. There was a question about a wobbly start, and then he came in and he has just been top notch. You know, our defence in general has been phenomenal. And I was saying last night, we often talk about these close offside decisions that maybe we got away with one in games. So there's been a few of our games recently where teams have put the ball in the net, but it's been just a little bit offside. And it's natural and easy to say, oh, we got lucky there. But when I actually sat back and thought about it, I thought, no, it's not that we're getting lucky. It's that the defensive line is just so well marshalled by Virgil and Ibu, and they hold that line so well that they trust themselves to step up at the right time and catch these teams off. And they trust that VAR are going to see these offsides. So I think we're doing a disservice to the lads and not saying, well done. Because yes, these are close calls, but they are the right calls, and our boys are doing the right things. So yeah, I've been so impressed with the structure. And yeah, we've got away with it a few times with regards to giving up chances that maybe teams may have scored from. But all in all, we look a lot less likely to concede sloppy goals maybe than we did under the kind of 100 mile an hour end-to-end basketball style games with Kloppo at times. What would your combined Arsenal-Liverpool 11 be? Ooh, good question. I have a bash at it, but and by the way, this combined 11 is if everybody's fit, so bear that in mind. So Alisson, Trent, Saliba, Virgil, Robbo, but I think Timber fit with more games behind him could have given Robbo a problem there. In midfield, Rice, McAllister, Gravenberch. Up top, Salah on the right. I don't care, Saka can get in the bin. Do you know what? I'm going to be fair, actually. Salah in the centre, Saka on the right, and on the left, Lucho. Going with Lucho on the left. I think I've been fair there. I think I've tried to shoehorn in 4 or 5 Arsenal players there. I think both of us will feel that there isn't a definitive number 9 answer to both of our squads yet. We hope Darwin becomes ours, but yeah, I think both us and Arsenal still have a question mark over that position. What about Calafiori? As a left back, you know, speaking with Lee earlier, he's not been too impressed with Calafiori at left back. He thinks that he can be good, but he thinks he can be poor as well. So yeah, I think I'm happy enough with that 11. I was close with Timber. If Timber had played more and had more of a track record at Arsenal, I probably would have got Yuri and Timber in at left back, to be honest. But I just feel he hasn't played enough. And that's unfortunate, like with the injury and whatnot, but certainly rate him as a player. Probably have to put Odegaard in there. I just struggle with where. You know, you've got Rice and you've got McAllister. So it's then Gravenberch or Odegaard. I know they're different style of midfields, but if we're just putting in 3 midfielders, who do you leave out? You know, look, I can get it. And I could understand an Arsenal fan looking at that and going, all right, I want Odegaard in there instead of McAllister or instead of Gravenberch. But for me, as a Liverpool fan, I think those two are just 2 of the best midfielders in the Premier League at the minute. Not the best, but 2 of the best. And yeah, I just couldn't see a way of not having McAllister in any team. If you play 2 6s, Grav gets in. If not, probably Odegaard. Yeah, look, I can see a world where there's McAllister, Rice, Odegaard, and I can see a world where there's where there's Gravenberch, Rice, and McAllister. I think you can make a valid argument either way, and I think you'd have a fair point either way. Thoughts on Endo? I miss seeing him in the team. As I've mentioned a few times, I just feel he's been really unfortunate. You know, he came in to sign for a manager in Jurgen Klopp who wanted the attributes that Wataru Endo had for the way that we played. But unfortunately for Wataru, he's come in under under Arne's time, and he's not really the type of number 6 that Arne likes to play with. There will be moments from this season, like when he came on to help us see out a game recently. I thought he was brilliant. He really was defending from high up the pitch and stopping any counters. But I think it's I don't see it working out long term for Wataru at Liverpool under Arne Slot. But it's so difficult because we all really, really like Wataru Endo. He's just a classy guy, you know, and I don't want to say anything negative about him because I really, really admire him as a human being. But I just can't see it working out for him. Craig, quick question on your football knowledge. Have you heard of my local team, West Auckland FC? No, I haven't. Sorry, Keith. I haven't heard of them, no. So United's 1-1 draw in the Europa League moves them up to an incredibly high 21st position. So just about scraping into the playoffs there. as things sit in the Europa League after their 1-1 draw away against Fenerbahce. It's good to see that they found their level, though, because the Champions League last year, let's be honest, was a bit tough for United. So, in the Europa League, they seem to be where they should be. How much will Liverpool be dishing out of the weekend? You've gone 5-2. So I'm going to record my preview tomorrow. And I still haven't fully decided on what I'm going to go score prediction-wise. I'm kind of humming and hawing about it. I think either a draw or a win for either team by 1. I don't think it's going to be a particularly high-scoring game, and I don't think any team is going to win it by 2 or 3 goals. I think it's going to be a 1-goal game or a draw, and I'm still undecided as of yet. How far do you think we'll go in the Champions League? I mean, obviously a lot could depend on the draw and the final seedings and whatnot. I think I'll be disappointed if we're not quarterfinalists. I feel this group should be well capable of getting through a round of 16 game and getting to a quarterfinal. So anything around that, and we'll see what happens, who the opposition is. But yeah, I think quarterfinals would be a bare minimum. What was the poll for? No problem. I'll go back over it now. Let me just end the poll, by the way, because it's very clear that people don't feel. So, a Colombian journalist, and if you want to look on X or Twitter, it's at Velez, Velez, football, Futbol, claims Arne Slot is having a certain favouritism over Cody Gakpo not playing Luis Diaz. The journalist in question, or the account in question, went on to say, they're making Lucho a substitute. Slot is from the Netherlands, and Diaz's replacement Gakpo is from the Netherlands. It would be frivolous to say that it's because he's a compatriot, he's preferring him, but I don't rule it out. Gakpo's a great player, he can play in any position, not necessarily as a left winger, and the coach decidedly is putting him there, right where Lucho plays. I hope this is temporary, that it's not just to benefit a compatriot, no matter how good he may be. We were talking about that and that comment, and I asked people, do they think there's anything fair about that comment? And you can see people said no, because it is just nonsense. It's only really been the last couple of games that Gakpo's got to start. And also, Gakpo, if you were to ask him and not Arne Slot, would describe himself more of a natural winger. So, yeah, I think it's just somebody looking for a problem that isn't there. Do you think we come top 8 and avoid the extra games? Don't know, Lisa, because I don't know what it's going to take to get into the top 8, because this is the first year, obviously, of seeing the new format. We're 3 from 3. Real Madrid's going to be difficult. Leverkusen's going to be fairly difficult. But I think we can beat at least one of those two. Then we've got Lille at home, and not the worst away game, so I think, I'm quietly confident, Lisa, that we'll be somewhere between 5th and 8th, probably. But, a lot may depend on those 2 massive games against Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen. United just drew to Fenerbahce. Not sure if you knew, Craig, just an update. Yeah, they've moved up to a lofty 21st in the Europa League table, so no doubt Ten Hag will be coming out with some more whoppers after the game about, him and Jose being a huge influence on football and being the greatest things in sliced bread and whatever other nonsense he wants to come out with today. We should beat Girona. Yeah, they've certainly weakened from the Girona of last year. Obviously, they sold a player to Manchester City. Then their striker Dovbyk moved on as well. So yeah, they're certainly not the same team as they were last year. And I would be expecting us to be able to go over to Spain and get that win. Yeah. So between that, I back us to beat one of Leverkusen and Madrid at home. Maybe even get 4 points out of it. Look, Madrid game's going to be hard, but law of averages, we got to win one eventually. And then Lille at home, you would hope we'd win that. So yeah, I'm confident. Slot is a better manager than Klopp. I mean, I think it's far too early to say either way definitively. He's had a great start. I'm really happy that Arne Slot's our coach. But, you know, let's not ever underplay Jurgen's brilliance, because Jurgen was and is a brilliant, brilliant man. So, yeah, I don't know. You know, Jurgen did a lot for this football club, and, you know, I love the man. What's the Alonso to City rumours? Exactly as you've suggested, his name is being mentioned as one that has been under consideration if Pep Guardiola doesn't sign an extension. I hope he doesn't touch the job personally. I don't want to see Alonso anywhere near Manchester City. You could understand him going to Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, but I don't want him sullied by Manchester City's name. Tilsheen said, I actually think we have a top spot come the end of the league phase. It won't do us any favours for the draw though. Well, it will. If you finish in the top 8, you're guaranteed to miss the round of 16 playoff game, and you're also guaranteed to have your round of 16 game, the second leg at home. So there is benefits to making sure you are in that top 8. 2 games less is one benefit, and then having the second leg at home is always a help in Europe. Early Arsenal prediction. I'm not ready, Dawood, yet to fully commit to a scoreline, because I'm still trying to figure out the Arsenal availability of players and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to record that preview tomorrow, and it'll be out Saturday morning. But I do have a video coming out tomorrow morning around the Arsenal game. I recorded with Lee Gunner earlier on this evening, and that's going to come out tomorrow morning. I'm going to be on Lee's channel then on Sunday for a reaction after the game as well, so keep an eye out for that one. At least this season we haven't drawn a single game. I know, isn't it mental, Snappy? It's so unlike us to be 12 games into a campaign and not having drawn. That's been our Achilles heel, you know, some silly drop points. So yeah, it's been unusual, but brilliant to have seen 11 wins from 12. And look, let's be honest, you know, it's still annoying that we lost to Forest, but 11 wins from 12 is delicious. Don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but at the moment Slot won't not played well. But the real test, if they lose back-to-back games, do you feel we play the Liverpool way? So I think of the Liverpool way as pass and move. Do I think we do that? Yes, I do. I think we could do it being a bit snappier sometimes in how we move the ball around. But I am enjoying the shape we're holding, and I'm enjoying not seeing us gift counter-attacking opportunities from misplaced passes. So I think it is certainly a different style of football from that we played with Jurgen, but I just I'm very happy with what I'm seeing, you know, and I keep thinking we're doing what we're doing, we're winning what we're winning, and there's still a gear or 2 left to go through. So imagine when this all clicks, and I think some teams this season are going to get a real kicking from Liverpool, like very high scores. But I do understand your point as well about maybe we haven't gotten to top gear yet, but isn't it great that we can say this from the position that we're in now with such a great start? You know, it's much better to have this conversation around 11 wins from 12 rather than having it around frustrating draw after frustrating draw, where we couldn't break down the low block or we threw a game away. Yeah, I'm enjoying it personally. So this run for Man United in Europe, Mark has sent me on this, thank you Mark, is the worst run of theirs in 41 years. Now somehow, Ten Lasso is going to be able to spin this in his mind into him being Pep Guardiola. I don't know how, but I'm looking forward to hearing what delusional nonsense he comes out with after the game. Pizzo said, evening Craig. All the way from South Africa. How are we, my friend? Welcome in. Always lovely. We've been blessed with so many South African Reds in the chat, mate, and lovely to see another one in. Welcome in. Broccoli or Liverpool get relegated. Dude, hook me up to a broccoli IV if it means Liverpool aren't getting relegated. I will happily take that one for the team. I will bathe in broccoli juice. I will grow broccoli out the top of my head if it means Liverpool weren't getting relegated. So yeah, you can sign me up for anything broccoli related if we get near a relegation zone ever. When is the preview coming out? First preview tomorrow morning, me and Lee Gunner. That's coming out tomorrow morning. And the preview, my own solo preview, Saturday morning. So remember the game Sunday afternoon. So one tomorrow and then one on Saturday. When do you think other people will take us seriously the way we're playing now? Hopefully when it's too late. Let them keep doubting us. Let them keep believing we're not going to be there. I mean, if we beat Arsenal, and it's a big if because it's going to be a difficult game, that's 7 points. We're clear of them already. You know, Neville in his Ten Hag levels of delusion believed Liverpool were going to be behind United in the league, and I think we're already something like 10 points ahead of them already. Would I get a broccoli tat if Eric Ten Hag gets fired? No, because that's definitely going to happen. So that's basically just me saying, yes, I'll get a broccoli tattoo for no reason, mate. So no, I'll pass on that one. I'm late. What's this about Salah? So the list for the African Player of the Year for 2024 was released today. And not only is our own boy, Mohamed Salah, not on the list, mate, but obviously we look at things through a Liverpool perspective, and Salah not being on that list is nothing short of a disgrace. But he's not the only one who's been omitted from the shortlist for the African Player of the Year. So no Mohamed Salah, no Mohamed Kudus, no Brahim Diaz, no Victor Boniface, no Nicholas Jackson, and I believe no Omar Marmoush. You mean to tell me that at least 1, 2, 3 of those 6 gentlemen don't belong in the shortlist for the African Player of the Year? It is a level of disrespect that those who are omitted definitely do not deserve. Just moved to the UK. How do I watch the games here? Depends what games you're looking for. If it's Premier League games, Sky and TNT Sport. If it's Champions League games, TNT Sport and Amazon Prime. Or Match of the Day on a Saturday and Sunday evening for the highlights on BBC. The African Player of the Year shortlist is a joke. It is, and I thought it was a wind-up at first, mate, to be honest with you, until I seen the official post, and then I just thought, no, this isn't actually a real list. They are actually trying to justify not including any of those players in it. It's shocking. TAA, talk to you soon, mate. Well, or thank you for dropping in, sorry. Gary Neville hasn't got a Scooby-Doo. I know, but you know what, Mark? Every time I open up my phone, turn on my TV, open a podcast app, there he is, looking at me, Gary Neville, right there, front and centre. We've had enough, please. Get him off Liverpool commentary for a start, because he cannot hide his inbuilt disdain and bias against us. So last night, Darwin didn't get a penalty, and most people were furious about it for the obvious reason. I was furious about it for that reason and for another reason, because remember the narrative that Neville, in his very prominent position at Sky, was trying to pander the week before, that Salah and Nunez were cheating, that they were simulating, that they should be booked. Well, that has a knock-on effect. When you have that platform and your words are as powerful as Gary Neville's can be, when you build this narrative, well, guess what? Sometimes it seeps out, and sometimes it gets into people's heads. Now, I'm not saying that referee definitely listened to Gary Neville or not, but what I am saying to you is, it doesn't help when you have people like Neville spouting that lazy bullshit. Especially when I, as an outsider who am in English, listens to him calling Harry Kane doing the same thing clever. Smart, gamesmanship. Not cheating when Kane does it. When Kane's jumping up for players and knocking them off balance and stuff. Apparently that's all tickety-boo because he's England's star boy. But Salah and Darwin does it, and it's what? Simulating? Salah is the least protected player in the Premier League in my opinion. He gets kicked from pillar to post week in and week out, and linesmen and referee give him no protection. It's just ridiculous. And that's what I was thinking of when Darwin didn't get that penalty. Is people like Neville forming that narrative that is complete bullshit. Chris, how are you, bro? Said, Craig, with people saying we're not playing that great under Slot, would you rather second place with Klopp's way or win the league with slot ball? Win. Winning is everything. You know, we can win and then argue about how we can win in a more flamboyant way, but win. You know, win, win, win. Because nobody remembers second place. Nobody gives a shit about second place. And I was brought up being told that we existed to win trophies. So if it takes us to be a bit more cautious, have a bit more of the dark arts, be a bit more balanced in our play, I'll take that every day of the week as long as the results keep following. You know, 11 wins from 12. I am nothing but over the moon about that. Craig, as an African, I believe that short list is very disrespectful for us as fans and those big players who make African football what it is today. I can't believe it, mate. I honestly, like I've said, I've tried to take my Liverpool bias out of it and look at it from the perspective of, as you've said, some of those great African players who have, you know, helped in the progression of African football in recent times and certainly deserve a place on that list. You know, no Mo Kudus on there is madness. You know, I don't know if there's some type of politics going on behind the scenes or whatever. I don't know, mate, but it's a shocking list. You know, not to be disrespectful to the players on the list, but the omissions from it are very telling. David Massett said, all excuses will come out of Sky Sports if we beat Arsenal about injuries to Arsenal players. Oh, God, yes. Yes. But, you know what? I'll take the win, mate, and let them cry about it. You know, if we pick up the win, I don't care what anybody has to say, to be honest. And look, there's no lying. Yes, Arsenal have injury concerns, but so does everybody over the course of a season. And you know, we've always said sometimes you need a bit of luck on your side to win a league title. And in years gone by, some teams have had good runs without injuries and been able to translate that into points. And I'm expecting Arsenal to be rigid and physical. And I'm expecting it to be a very tactical game. I'm not expecting many chances. I'm not expecting many goals. If Arsenal score the first goal, I expect them, as Lee said when we spoke earlier as well, to kind of revert back into a solid defensive formation and ask us to break them down. But I don't blame them. You know, however Arteta wants to go about getting a result, like we just said a minute ago about the style of football, winning is what matters. And if you can get the result, we can argue about how we got it at the end of it or how we didn't get it, but winning is the most important thing. Have you discussed the Echo article saying Trent is leaving? I've not. So I look on the Echo most days and I've not seen an article. I look now because I've not seen an article on there saying Trent's leaving, to be honest with you. Let me have a look. So the only thing on there is Tim Sherwood talking out his arse with zero sources, giving his opinion that he thinks Trent will go. So, you know, it's not fair to the Echo to say they wrote a piece saying Trent's leaving Liverpool. They absolutely did not. The piece is about Tim Sherwood sharing his very ill-informed thought process on Trent going to Madrid. So, yeah, you know, I wouldn't pay any attention to what Tim Sherwood has to say, to be honest, because who cares what Tim Sherwood has to say? I laughed when I read Mahrez is better than Salah. How do I ignore and not get baited? Salah sits at the table, all-time greats. Look, Mahrez was a good player. Very good footballer. But yeah, you know, Salah is a better player over the course of his career. But Riyad Mahrez was a very good footballer. Do you think some of our players are watching the stream? Do you know what? I've never really sat back. I've thought about whether some of the higher ups at the club maybe tune in occasionally just to see, but I honestly don't know of one Liverpool player that I can say for certain has ever watched a minute of any of our channel. I don't know, is the honest answer. And I kind of don't want to think about it as well, because if I do think about it, I'll probably start getting more nervous, because, you know, these guys are our idols, aren't they? You know, the players that we look up to. So never really given it much thought. Of course, I hope a few of them are watching or tune in occasionally, but I don't know for certain at all. Soboslai mentioned you in the Listen to Recycled video. I don't believe he did. You know, if ever he did, it'd be great. But I'm sure I'd have heard about it if Soboslai mentioned us in any bit of content. But look, I don't know. You know, I don't know if footballers these days pay attention to any of the media stuff. You know, I think each individual person probably has their own thought process. But you know what I will always say? I want people to stop judging us off a title or a thumbnail, because it doesn't speak to what we're about fully. It's a snapshot in time. It's sometimes tongue-in-cheek, but it's certainly meant to start a conversation. So I've had people tell me before that the "Where's the Money, John" thumbnails are embarrassing. It's a talking point. It's not F you, John. It's not... It's an opinion, a talking point. So come in, see what the channel is about, see how kind our community is, see how reasonable I am, and see how much we look out for each other, and tell me that that isn't what being a Liverpool fan's supposed to be about. Because I don't talk about these things publicly, but we're always doing nice stuff for people. Whether it's sending gifts to people who've just had a celebratory moment in their life, whether it's buying jerseys for parents who have gone through a difficult time financially, gifting tickets to our live shows, making charitable donations. We try to hold and conduct ourselves the way we believe Liverpool fans should be. But if you judge us based off a clip you see or something, well, that's, you know, it is what it is. But I think we're good people. I think you're all great people. And I wish people would stop looking down their noses at us, because, like Liverpool, a lot of people keep underestimating us, but we're no idiots. We're no idiots. We know how lucky we are, and we work really hard at what we do. How did you become a successful YouTuber? Do you know what? I don't know. I have real imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like every day I come on here, I'm not deserving to be here. I don't deserve the platform. I don't deserve the audience. I don't deserve the numbers the channel has seen. So I don't know, mate. All I can say is we've tried to be consistent. We tried to be honest. We tried to say what we think needs to be said. And we tried to respect the people who come and join us. And that's it. You know, we've had luck. You know, that 7-2 clip, that was luck. That went a bit viral and certainly brought some more eyes to us. So a bit of everything, a bit of hard work, a bit of luck, a lot of dedication to what we're doing. And mostly, I have the best audience in the world. I have the best group of people that join me every night that are good people. And that's why we're so intent on kicking out assholes, because you're all amazing people. And I love the community aspect of what we're doing, because I need it in my life, and I know others do. So yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know, but I'm very grateful for it, and I'm never going to stop being appreciative for it. Harrison said, "You deserve it all, Craig. Wonderful streamer, created an amazing community." Thank you. So I hope over the next 5 months, I hope to fulfill my dream, which I've been honest about since I started the channel, which is just to buy the house that we live in from the county council, the local corporation. That's been my dream since I started this channel. I've now saved up enough for the deposit. I think come March or April, we should be able to apply to buy the house. And that's going to be a day where I shed a tear, because it's all been about that from day one, to try and buy a house for my family. I don't know, you guys don't know all of my life story, but I was fucked out of about just 450 grand of an inheritance through shenanigans, and both my parents took their own lives, and I've had a shitty time at times, but this community and channel have given me an outlet and a platform to feel like I can be myself and feel like I don't have to apologise for being myself, warts and all, you know. And that's going to be a proud day for me as a father, husband, man, to just sign that paperwork and say, we own a home. No, we won't own it outright. Of course, we'll have a mortgage on it, but that's the dream. That's the dream, and that's why it's so important to us. Will you collab with Lee Gunner before the Arsenal game? In the bag, mate. It's coming out tomorrow morning. Chatted with him earlier on this evening, and I'm going to then go on Lee's channel for a bit of a reaction after the game on Sunday evening. So on Sunday, we'll do our watch along, we'll do our match reaction, then I'll jump onto Lee's channel, do a little something with Lee, and then come back and record the player rating. So yeah, tomorrow I think about 12 o'clock, maybe a bit earlier, the video's going to come out. Look, I'm starting to get a bit emotional now, so I'm going to say goodnight to you all, and a massive thank you again for coming in and joining us. What day is tomorrow? Friday. So yeah, we've got the Lee Gunner video coming out in the morning. There'll be a news video tomorrow evening time, and then I'll be live at 8:45 tomorrow night as well. David, thank you, mate, for your very kind super chat and your kind sentiment as well. Yeah, and thank you to everyone that bought tickets to the live show as well, by the way. I got an update last night. Tickets are moving along quite well, so thank you for that. And if you haven't heard, we are in Liverpool next month, November the 15th, at the Hot Water Comedy Club. If you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets in the link below. Have a good one, my friends, and enjoy your evening. I'll chat to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.